Woo! Bucs up! Falcons down. One more time for the home team. Woo! What's good, Buck Nation? It's your Rude Boy, and thanks for tuning in to our Week 13 episode of Tough Bucs. So, let's giddy up. After a sloppy loss to the New Orleans Saints in Week 11, the Buccaneers were looking to get back on the winning column as they were matched up against the resurging Dirty Birds of Atlanta. Not a lot of people thought the Bucs would stand a chance, including yours truly, but the Bucs would give the Falcons a thorough beating in this game, and I like that. Offensively, the Bucs started the game off shaky with Jameis Winston throwing an interception on his very first throw of the game. Come on! Every Buccaneer fan was thinking the same thing. Here we go again. But Winston was able to shake off the two early interceptions and finish the game with strong numbers. This was his 6th straight game with over 300 yards passing, setting a franchise record. Winston's play this year, and pretty much his whole career, has been described as Jekyll and Hyde. Some days you get the good, and other days you get the bad. On this day, fans would see both. As for the rest of the offense, the O-line played extremely well, not allowing a single sack. Say what? That's the first time that's happened all year, folks. Byron Leftwich called a more balanced game, and both stud receivers Chris Godwin and Mike Evans would eclipse the 1,000-yard mark for the season. This is Godwin's first time reaching that mark, and as for Evans, this is his 6th consecutive season reaching that mark, and is now tied with Hall of Famer Randy Moss for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start off a career. Oh, and how can I forget the big man Vita Vea catching his very first touchdown pass of his career? Let's go! Defensively, this was a complete game by the Bucs. The defensive line was consistently able to get pressure on Matt Ryan with 6 total sacks. Shaq Barrett was a handful for the O-line of the Falcons all day. Ndamukong Suh recorded his 2nd defensive touchdown, and Devin White was all over the place, snagging himself 2 sacks of his own. But the real star in this game was the secondary. Both Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean had great games and would benefit from the pressure provided by the D-line. Both corners recorded 5 passes defended, and Davis would snag himself his very first career interception and played excellent coverage against both Jones and Ridley. Sean Murphy-Bunting led the team in tackles, and outside of garbage time in the 4th, the secondary didn't allow 1 touchdown in the air. That's what I call a stellar defense. Let's giddy up. With the exception of kicker Matt Gay's performance and some questionable time management in the 4th quarter by Byron Leftwich, I'm gonna say that this was a complete game. This week, our Tough Buck Award goes to my guy Chris Godwin. Look, number 12 is an absolute monster. In this game, he set the tone for the rest of the Bucs offense when on their 2nd possession, Winston would thread the needle and hit Godwin for a 71-yard touchdown. Let's go. The first touchdown allowed by the Falcons in more than 10 quarters, I might add. His 2nd touchdown was just as impressive, snagging a poorly thrown pass with one hand before getting a big hit across the goal line, and more importantly, holding on to it. Here's to you, Chris. The good news for the Bucs is that their schedule gets easier from here. Their last 5 opponents are a combined 23-31 this year, and not one of them boasts a top 10 defense in terms of yards, points allowed, or interceptions. The Bucs will look to have their first streak of the season as they go up against their crosstown rivals, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The offense of the Jaguars revolves around running back Leonard Fournette, who ranks 6th in the NFL in rushing yards. Luckily for the Bucs, their defense is pretty good against the run. The Jags are pretty good passing the ball, but have a hard time scoring points. Side note, Nick Foles is 0-4 since returning from injury. The defense of the Jaguars was once a dominant machine. Against the pass, they're still pretty good, even with the departure of Jalen Ramsey, but the Jags are pretty bad at tackling as they've allowed the most rushing yards after contact in the NFL. They've also given up 200+ rushing yards in 3 consecutive weeks. That ain't cutting it, folks. But one player to keep your eye out on is veteran defensive end Calais Campbell, as he is sure to be disruptive at the line of scrimmage. The Jags defense thus far have been awful against the run. Their lack of discipline on that side of the ball will bode well for the Buccaneers' run game. Similar to last week, I expect the Buccaneers to call a more balanced game, relying heavily on the rushing attack. Will this be the game where Rojo finally reaches 100 yards rushing? I'm gonna bet yes. Anthony Nelson, Jason Pierre-Paul, and MJ Stewart didn't practice as of Wednesday and are questionable to play on Sunday, but I expect JPP to play. Last week I split my picks hitting the over, but missing on the Falcons -4.5. But I'm glad I missed it because that means the Bucs won. My season total is now at 9-13, and I don't think I'll ever get above 500. The Bucs are somehow 1-point underdogs in this one. I think the secondary of the Buccaneers are starting to figure things out, but unfortunately it's a little too late. I do think they'll continue their good play against a struggling Jaguars offense though. Offensively, the Bucs have way too many weapons, and I think they're gonna win this one outright. I'm taking the Bucs +1. The over-under is set at 48.5 points in this one, folks, and as I said before, the Bucs can score points, and the defense, well, they allow a lot of points too. I'm gonna take the over on this one. And that's our Week 13 preview of the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me know who you think will win this game by leaving a comment below. Like and subscribe, and if you're a real tough buck, then click that bell icon so that you get real-time notifications on when new videos drop. So until next time, Buck Nation, keep firing them cannons.